Hello, 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 welcome. Glad you could make it. I am Dan, your friendly fishmonger at dansfish.com. We do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 9 Eastern for those that are mountain challenged. Glad you could be with us. So today we're going to give our shipping report as we always do. We'll give you a brief update on the warehouse. And then we have a really cool giveaway, lots of fish food, a virtual smorgasbord of fish food to give away. Oh, I forgot to do something. I'll turn off these lights. Otherwise, it's like a lot of glow coming from there. I don't know, maybe it looks cool. I'm always afraid it'll be distracting, though. Okay, there we are. Let's get going. So the shipment report. So we had quite an event shipping this week, which is we took all our packages up to UPS like we always do at about 5:30 or so on Monday for shipping, and everything seemed to be in good order, no issues, yay. Got up the next morning and saw that everything had been delayed. Apparently there was a major thunderstorm cell over one of the airports that the packages need to go through, and the plane could not land. So literally every package, I think that's a true statement, I think every package we shipped Monday did not arrive until today. So delays always make us nervous, but the good news is, as far as was reported as of an hour ago or so, when I last checked, everyone made it okay. So despite the delay, everyone made it okay. Now, if they didn't, let us know. But we're working under the assumption that even with the delay, things went fine and no one had any losses. So that's good news. Some bad news, though, is we shipped a customer, Jenny, if you're listening, 12 pygmy corridoras on the 9th of May. And they all seemed fine. And then about 3 days after she got them, she started to have losses. And as of today, out of those 12, there's only 4 left. So I'm not sure what's going on there, because that batch of corries has been rock solid for us. I think we got about 200 in. There might be like, how many are left? Like 20? Like we've sold almost all of them. So pygmy, yeah, there's 20 left. Huh. Talk about accurate. And so no one else had issues that I can recall that batch was sent to, and we haven't had any issues here. So we've been trying to troubleshoot with the customer, and ammonia looks good. The tank is established. Temperature is mid-70s. Like everything about it seems like it should be working for them. So that is one issue, though, that we're trying to resolve now. Not sure what's going on in that tank, and aren't having any luck pinpointing something we can help with. So that's a bummer. So Jenny, I just want to apologize that's happening. I know how frustrating that can be. And we'll keep working with you to do our best and try to figure out what's going on, and we'll make it right. But you say that, I mean, fish are dying. You can't really, resurrect them, but we'll definitely take care of you as much as we can. So that's always a mystery, right? When an entire batch of fish is doing well for us and doing well for everyone we send them to, but one customer has a problem. So then it's either something happened during shipping, like that really stressed them, like they were set out in the sun and they got too hot, or for some reason they were set on top of an air conditioning vent and they got too cold, or something like that. Something weird. Or there's something going on in the tank that we just don't know and aren't able to pinpoint. So it's a bummer situation, but we like to be transparent here and tell you when we do have problems. So that's definitely a problem we had. And yeah, so that was from the shipment on the 9th that we're just hearing about and trying to work through. Besides that, though, everything for the last several weeks has gone pretty smoothly despite the delay. So that's the report. All right, with that, I want to talk about tonight's giveaway because I think it's a good one. So tonight's giveaway is sponsored by the Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist Facebook page. And let's see here, take you there. So these are the folks donating all the items for the giveaways all throughout the month of May. So the month of May is Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist month. And they've done a pack of shrimp. They have done... Oh, geez, I just forgot what we did last week. It was guppies, wasn't it? I literally just forgot what we did last week. I have camera brain. And this week we are doing fish food. So a 10-pack of fish food. All those different foods you see in the thumbnail are included. And so let me tell you what they are. 4 ounces of guppy and livebearer food, all live stages, with a bunch of decapsulated brine shrimp in that food. Nano tropical green, I think those are granules. 7 ounce, so that's number 2, 4 ounces of nano tropical green. 7 ounces, so a big boy pack, almost half a pound of beef heart flake. 3.5 ounces of kelp wafers. 3 ounces of slow dissolved shrimp sticks. 4 ounces of grow and spawn. 3 ounces of ancestral sticks. 4 ounces of veggie wafers. 4 ounces of krill sticks. 3 ounces of meat wafers. You get the point. It's a lot of food. And of these 10 types of food, 9 of them are actually made in the USA. One is not. It's packaged in the USA. But the other 9 are actually made right here in the USA. So I think that's pretty cool. That's provided by Guppy Barn Aquatics, who's a member of Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist Facebook group. It's kind of, I guess it's a membership drive month for them. Do you remember the old PBS membership drives? If you ever watched public television? That's what it is. We need a bunch of people in back of me with telephones to take your calls. But anyway, if you're looking for a Facebook group about fish and the fish hobby, then do consider Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist and check them out and see if there's something you want to join up with. So anyway, that's the giveaway. Now to enter the giveaway, all you do is enter hashtag ThanksIAH. That stands for Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist. Hashtag ThanksIAH. No spaces, caps don't matter. ThanksIAH. That's THANKSIAH, right? To be entered. So, that's the giveaway, and I think it's super cool. There's lots of things where it's like, if it's a specific animal that people are probably like, oh, I can't fit that in my tank, or, you know, my other animals will eat it, or whatever, right? It doesn't work for their situation. But fish food, we can all pretty much always use more fish food. So, so I think that's a pretty good giveaway and useful for everyone. And I want to thank Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist Facebook group for providing all the giveaways for this month. That's awfully nice of you folks. Thank you. All right, I have missed a super chat. It is from Kelly Foreman. Kelly, hello. Kelly says, my new gobies and Axelrod raspberries look great and look great together. Thanks, Dan. You're welcome. Sorry for the delay. Glad they arrived safely. I mean, I kind of figured they would. The weather's pretty good, and we do package for the long haul. We package our fish in case there are delays so that they'll still be okay. But it still makes you nervous because when I do the heat packs, it's that time of year where it's cold at night but can be hot during the day. So there's times where I have to ship places where it's like 43 degrees is the low and it might be in the 80s for the high. So I ship with the smaller heat pack in the hopes that it gets delivered, you know, on time. And it usually does. The concern when it's delayed is, oh great, there's a heat pack in there. What happens later in the day when the temperature gets warmer, when it reaches the mid 80s? Is it going to overheat? We mitigate that though by putting a lot of, I call it, it's basically a heat sink. It's a lot of water volume in our bags or in our boxes so that, you know, hopefully we can mitigate temperature swings that way. And we also keep the water really clean and use pure oxygen with our fish. So what happens when the water heats up, that's the real danger. If they get, this time of year, the real danger isn't so much they'll get too cold, it's that they might get too hot. Usually what happens to fish when they get too hot is as the water heats up, oxygen saturation drops. So there's a lot less oxygen in the water available for the fish to breathe through their gills, and the fish can suffocate. So by doing our 2-day process to make sure that the fish are pretty much cleaned out, that their intestines are cleaned out and there's no poop in there to come out, right, and foul the bag, and so the water's nice and clean and it's pure oxygen. Even if it gets warm, usually there's still enough oxygen saturated into the water that they'll be okay, even if they get a little too warm on the trip. So I kind of figured they'd be okay, but it does make me nervous when, you're trying to ride the temperature swings, and if there's a night and a day, that's fine, but if there's a night and a day and a night and a day, then the swings can get a little, and you've packed for just one night and day as far as heat goes. Yeah, that's the tricky part this time of year and in the fall. But even so, things are going well. Bexs Fish Room, thank you so much for throwing money at us, Bexs. We appreciate it. Any idea when you'll be getting more giant coolies in? Also, question. I was under the impression giant coolies were P. meyersi and P. semicincta is a different species. P. semicincta, let's go on a field trip together and look. Pangio meyersi. Oops, I can't type. So Pangio meyersi. How big does this fish get? Giant coolie loach. So Bexs, don't go by common names, because there's a real, I don't know if you call it issue, but a reality in this hobby that common names are unreliable. So let's go by, I have to put a common name in, right? Or a lot of people won't even know that it's a coolie loach. If I put in Pangio semicincta, most people won't even know what that is. So I have to put some kind of common name in the listing when there's an industry-established common name available. But basically, any coolie loach that gets like 4 or 5 inches is considered, I believe, a giant coolie loach. Let's see here. So that's 10 centimeters. So how big is that in inches? So 3.9 inches. So let's call that 4 inches, right? So that's Pangio meyersi. Pangio semicincta. It's how big? Same size, yeah. So they're both a species of giant coolie, I would say. And it totally depends on the listing and the store you're buying from and what their supplier calls them. Like the common names get all mixed up over all kinds of species. So, yeah. I go more by size and common name, and I list the scientific name as well so people can know exactly what they're getting. So, yeah, common names are just rough. They're like one common name can apply to 10 different species. And when it comes to coolie loaches and actually a lot of fish in this hobby, you don't actually know often what you're getting. The supplier might call them giant coolie loach. And so you're like, okay, I'm going to order those, but there's no scientific name. And you're like, okay, I guess they're giant coolie loaches. Or they might call them Pangio semicincta, and you're like, yes, yay. But you can't really tell on a young coolie loach which species it is. So there's a lot of guesswork on identifying fish. There's a few species, of fish that, or actually a lot of species that we can look at and I can get and look at and be like, nope, that's not what they said they were. I know what that is. But there's lots that just are really hard. The toughest for me are fish like sevrums and geophagus and things like that, because those guys get, decent size. And when we get them, they might only be an inch, maybe 2 inches. They don't have any color yet. They don't have any distinguishing characteristics yet. So, you get those. You hope the supplier labeled them correctly, because you're not going to know for months what they actually are until they grow out and color up. So it's this big guessing game for sure. Yeah. Hey, we got another one from Alexander Engelhart. Hey, Alexander, good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for the generous super chat. And I'm working my way through your interview with Rico Stan. I'm loving the story about the nudists who wanted to take a selfie with President Obama. just like, can you imagine being the president being like, this is going to be bad for optics? Oh, boy. That cracked me up. All right. A lot of good stories and stuff on that interview that Rico Stan did with Alexander Engelhart. I'd highly recommend it. Okay. With that, I want to briefly go over the fish that we have coming up that will be available. I should have them up by this Friday. I've been tied up with some extra things this last little while and wasn't able to get pictures of them and things today. So the plan is tomorrow to get all the pictures taken and stuff. I have most of the listings built. Like, I don't have descriptions and things like that. I just have the species and the size. I haven't been able to write anything up, but my hope is tomorrow to get pictures taken and get these all up on Friday. I don't know what time Friday. I'll do as soon as I'm able to get all the pictures up in loaded and make sure they're decent and all that. I'll get them. It might be Friday morning, could take me till the evening, but Friday I'll get them listed. So the fish that we have coming up, let's start with an oldie but goodie, the Rosy Barb. So Dan, why did you get Rosy Barbs? Well, it's because I think that they do awesome in summer tubs. They're great for ponds and summer tubs and things like that. So 'tis the season, and I was able to get pairs, so I'm able to offer them in pairs. So if you want to do some summer tubbing, put a few pairs out in a patio pond or whatever. Then by the end of the summer, you should bring in lots of babies. It should be a fun time. In fact, we have lots of babies from them already. They're breeding like crazy for us. So fun fish, not rare or anything like that. Super hardy. But I thought maybe with patio pond season upon us, it would be one that people would want. Cochu Tetras, the blue Cochu Tetra. They've changed the genus on this one, but the species name is the same, Fred Cochuai. And they're a beautiful gradient type sky blue. They really are as nice as they are in the pictures. They look great. Congo Tetras, and the ones we have are all males. So you're going to end up with the color. I specifically ordered males because there's been a few batches where I didn't specify the sex and I ended up with mostly females. I think they were still too young to tell for me exactly. But I don't want someone to order like a dozen Congo Tetras expecting to get a good mix and then end up with only females, right? So I think what they might do sometimes is separate the sexes, and when you order non-gender specific, send out females, because they can charge more for the males. So I spent some more to get ones that were for sure males, and they are. I can see them developing the white edges on their fins. They're still small, maybe 1.5 inches on the bigger ones in there. So they have a lot of growing to do. They don't have the extensions or anything like that yet, but I think they should. You have a really good shot of getting a lot of color when they're grown up. Apistogramma Agaziai, and it's not the one from this specific river, but the reason I did that is because if you search for just Apistogramma Agaziai, you get all the morphs, and the ones that we have are not like the big orange flashes or the reds or anything like that. They're more the wild type, so they look more like these. Bold black line down the middle, have that neat tail. So this is the type of Agaziai we have. Not Rio Negro, but a more of a wild type Agaziai. Leopard Tenepoma, and they are about 1 inch and cute as a button. They're eating really well. They're eating vibrobites. They love bloodworms. They're little piggies, so they should do well for you. I want to take a video of them just absolutely mobbing the food. Like, you look in the tank and you don't see much because I have a whole bunch of plants in there, and then I drop in some bloodworms or vibrobites, and like the plants turn alive. Like what was a still little Tenepoma suddenly starts moving, and this big cloud of them come and start eating, and it's really cool. Again, for patio pond season, we got some paradise fish. These do really well in a wide range of temperatures. They can take it down to freezing, pretty much, and they can take it up pretty hot. They're a very hardy fish. In fact, I think this is the anabantoid that most people should get instead of a betta. Most people get a betta, they get a container for it, and they put it out on their desk or something like that in their home or in their office. The problem is bettas want to be warm, and I mean real warm. They're super happy in the mid 80s. But most of us keep our homes, not nearly that hot. So over the long term, you get this beautiful betta, and then you watch it slowly degrade over several months just because it's not kept warm enough. This is a fish that doesn't mind the cold and is an anabantoid just like a betta. It can breathe air. So I think in those types of setups, this fish does much better than a betta because it's not going to suffer from lower temperatures. Now, they are going to grow to 3 inches or so, and they're fairly robust fish. You don't want to keep them something super small, but I've seen them in like a 2.5 gallon, 5 gallon aquarium, or one of the larger 5 gallon bowls or whatever, out on patios and things, and they looked great and were doing well. So I think they can work really well in a patio type situation, summer tubbing type situation, or instead of getting a betta, consider a paradise fish. It'll do a lot better for you. Give it a little more room, but you're not going to have it degrade because of a temperature issue. We also have the albino form of the paradise fish. Madagascar rainbow fish, which are beautiful and get decent size. This will grow 4 or 5 inches or so. Some more Bosemani angelfish. I always do that. Rainbow fish. This is the classic aquarium strain. Not as expensive as the Aves Creek or the Itinjo populations. All right, for Xanadu, I brought in some Celebis rainbows. They came in at like 1/2 inch. So we have Celebis rainbows, and they're awesome and they're doing well, but they are small. There is no color yet. I don't have a prayer of sexing them yet. We've got a whole bunch of little ones if you want to watch them grow up. I don't know why they sent me such small ones. I didn't order such teeny ones, but in this business, you order what you order and you get what you get. Pseudomogal Luminatus, a a constant favorite, just because so beautiful. So, Pseudomogal Luminatus, neon red blue eye. Some more rainbow shiners. I can't sex these. They're around 1 inch in size. Hopefully they'll grow up and you'll get a nice mix of males and females, because the males develop this nice blue spotting on the back, and when they go into breeding coloration, they turn this absolute stunning bright pink color. But that's not constant. It'll pop up during the breeding season from time to time. But even without that, the males will develop this blue flecking on the back and are a really pretty fish. Got some spotted silver dollars. I don't usually carry this fish. It's a nice fish, but it usually gets a little bigger than I want to carry. What, does this one have ick? Oh my gosh. I could be wrong, but I think that this picture of this fish for sale is literally covered in ick. I hope I'm wrong. Jeez. But anyway, they sent me these. I did not order them. They screwed up a bag in the box, and I ended up with some. Cool fish, just not something I regularly have, but they're pretty for you silver dollar people out there. And from what I read, I don't think they get too big. I think we're talking max out at like maybe 7 to 9 inches. Now, I could be wrong. I've read false information on silver dollar sizes before. So, Johnny, let me know how big these actually get in the chat. Gara rufa, the doctor fish, another one I did not order, but now I've got like 200 of them. So if you want a nice group of Gara rufa, I will make you a deal. Good algae eating fish, all the attitude of a panda gara or whatever, but not as neatly patterned as a panda gara. But same attitude, same utility as far as eating algae and keeping your tank clean. Spotted headstanders, and these came in awesome. They're every bit of 3 inches, a lot of them. They're nice big ones. They're eating well. They're starting to gain weight really well. We've put them through dewormer. They obviously needed it, And the results of them being dewormed are fantastic. They've rapidly started gaining weight. They're eating ravenously. So I think they'll do really well for you. And they're big. Okay, the Imitator Catfish. So these guys are fun because they are a fish. This one literally imitates Corydoras melanis. How do you say that? Melanistis? However you say that. There's several species of these Brachyrumdia, the imitator catfish, that mimic different kinds of Corydoras. And you can get them to spawn by keeping them with a group of Corydoras that they mimic, and when the Cories spawn, these guys are triggered to spawn as well. I don't think they do the kookaburra thing like Synodontis. I don't think they go and swap out eggs or anything like that, because Cories don't have parental care, but for some reason, they found it advantageous to look like a Cory. The difference is, they're a little different looking, but the main difference is, this is not the right species, but it shows a clear picture of these long feelers. And they don't have the big body scoots. Is it scoots or scuts? I've only read that word, I've never heard it, that Corydoras have. But really interesting, a fish that literally mimics Corydoras melanist, whatever that is. Yeah. Ninja woodcats. Always wanted them. Finally found some from a decent supplier at a price that made sense. They're still expensive. We've put them through deworming and everything, but they're eating well. They're gaining weight nicely. They're eating frozen bloodworms. They'll eat fiber bites. They'll eat massivore pellets. They don't seem to be picky. This one I'm excited about. This is the dwarf green Farawella. And they're a really neat fish. The species name, Dichromum, talks about their color. So when they're on a green... So in nature, these guys live in rapidly flowing water on plants. Let's say you had a bunch of Vallisneria or sword plants or something like that, and the current's going over them, so the leaves are all like kind of leaning against this. The current's going down, and the leaves are just horizontal against the current. Well, they get a lot of biofilm and algae growing on those leaves. And these little catfish, they're not really a Farawella. They're more closely related to the Otocinclus, but they look a lot like a Farawella and act a lot like a Farawella. They have adapted to specialize in eating on these leaves. So they have two color phases. When they are on a green background, they look like this green color. Reminds me of like a green African bush snake or something like that. Now I realize this one's on a terracotta pot right now, but it must have just swum off a leaf and stuck there or something. But this is the green coloration. This is one that Ivan just grabbed out of the wild and took a picture of. But when they are on a different colored background, they turn a brown color. So dichromium, right? Two colored, depending on their background. Cute little fish. They're about 2 inches or so. They need biofilm and algae. We rotate rocks and pipes and plates and stuff that are covered with algae into the tank. There's a great article if you search the genus and species name. Oh, I thought I just switched back. If you search that on Google, you'll find this great article on keeping and breeding them. And the way they do it, because these guys are true grazers, is they have a bare bottom tank, and they take powdered foods, powdered algae, maybe some Soylent Green, Rapashi, things like that, the powders, and they shake them up in water, a little thing of water, and then pour them into the tank, and those powders settle on the bottom, and these fish will go across the bottom and eat the powders. That's how they're doing it. The way we're doing it is just feeding them a bunch of biofilm and algae. But they're not going to do well on your standard like flake foods and things like that. At least they aren't at first. They might eventually get there. They graze all the time. They're not going to do well if they're outcompeted by quick eaters. They need a lot of dwell time with the food. And something to always remember with these guys is their snout here, their rostrum, is covered with, it's kind of got this spot on it that's absolutely covered in these tiny little odontas. Is that how you say that? Odontus? the spines, right? The little teeth, skin teeth. And if you use a net, they are going to catch those in the net. And then you'll have a big problem on your hands. So don't ever use a fish net with these guys. Kind of specialized, but also really cool. And our batch is doing awesome. They're eating really well. They seem to be doing fine. Another neat one, this is a whiptail, the Genero Whiptail. And this is exactly what they look like right here. They come from areas of high water flow, so they're going to need well oxygenated water. That's a great shot. Yep. And the water needs to be clean. Clown plecos, known and loved by all of us. The reason we like these is because they don't get big, right? They're going to stay at maybe around 3 inches, maybe a little bigger than 3 inches, but in that range, 3.5 inches. Ours are roughly around 2 inches right now, and they're little tanks. They're so fat. We have some Characidium tetras. We don't know the species. They came in as contaminants with some pencilfish. And we only have a couple of them, but we do have some. I think they might be Fascidium, maybe this one. But they're just little guys right now, and they aren't really colored in. So I'm not quite sure which kind of darter or hummingbird tetra they are. And then we have some freshwater pipefish. We have 4 of them. We've had them for at least a month now, just to make sure that they were doing well and going to live for you, because they can be quite delicate. And they are. They're doing fantastic. Ours eat mainly scuds. They eat baby shrimp. And they will... Did my camera just go bye-bye? Well, hopefully you can still see me. They eat baby shrimp, and they eat baby brine shrimp. They're going to need a lot of live foods, though. Yeah, it looks like my camera died. Hang on. What's going on here? Stream health. Stream is healthy. Let me scroll to the bottom. Can people not see me? Camera went bye-bye. Okay, it sure did. For you guys too, huh? Okay, let me see what I can do about that. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera off and on real quick. See if that makes a difference. Sorry, guys. Welcome to the podcast. Exactly. Okay. Let's see if this will work now. We just turned it back on. And anything? I'm not seeing anything. Battery exhausted. Oh. Hang on, I just got to plug it in. What a rookie mistake. I had it charging all day, so I figured it was well charged, but maybe I didn't have it connected properly. Okay. Let's try this one more time. Okay, sorry guys. Welcome to the podcast. Well, I bet we just lost all our viewers. Okay, let's see if we can get this going. Okay, what's going on now? It says battery exhausted. Okay, that's fine, but you're plugged in, so why are you still exhausted? Is this thing not working? Yeah, you're plugged in, you're getting a charge. Okay. And now it still thinks it's exhausted. Wait, we had something. Oh boy. I might need to just let the camera charge for half a minute, guys, to get enough charge to turn it on. Well, this is okay. I look much better in the dark, so. Yeah, welcome to the podcast, I guess. I guess while we're in just a few seconds, we'll turn the camera back on. But while we're waiting for that, there is one other little fish that I forgot to mention, which is the 3-line pencilfish, one of those small little pencilfish species. I think it's Nanostomus trifasciata, I believe, if I remember right. Okay, let's see if this will work again. Fingers crossed, here we go. Okay, come on, please work. All right. My ugly mug is back on screen. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I charged the camera all afternoon because I usually do that just to make sure the camera is fully charged before I go. Because what happens is if the camera's charging while it's streaming, it gets too hot and wants to shut down. So I like to run it without it being charged, with just the battery, right? So it's not getting so hot. And so I did that. So I thought we were all good to go, but apparently I didn't have it connected completely or something. So, you know, rookie mistake. Yay. Okay, we're back. Hey, we gained viewers while that was happening. People just came to watch the pain, huh? Okay, let's make sure we're back. Stream is healthy. Da da da. Okay, I think we're good. All right, cheers. Thanks for waiting, guys. Okay, let me close all these tabs just so we don't overload the system again. Okay, there we go. So, with that, I want to get to my mods and just say thanks for Orange Cone's goal. I gained listeners. I want to thank my mods for being here and doing what they do every week, keeping this stream as on track as possible. Someone like me running it. They don't have a lot to work with and they do a really good job. Thanks, I really appreciate you guys. With that, I want to get to your questions and comments. So if you have a question or comment for me, please list it. If you make it at Dan's Fish, then it'll turn bright orange for me and I'm more likely to see it. Mods, if you could direct me to anyone who's having trouble getting highlighted, that would be appreciated. So with that, I see a super chat from Xanadu. Thanks on the Celebis, Dan. Next Pseudomogal Signifers, please. Oh, is that the one you wanted? Wait, Signifer is Celebis, right? No, it's not. Oh, man. I was going off well, I wanted to get Celebis anyway. That's, you know, I really did. So I remember getting them being like, I think these are the ones Xanadu wants. No, you wanted the Signifers. All right. Wait, now I'm double confused. Guys, camera brain is in full effect. Let me make sure I got the Celebis. Yeah, I got Celebis, not Signifers. Okay. Alrighty. Signifers coming up. Misfit Reptiles and Aquatics. Do you come across any Paskai rainbows, Pseudomogal, at all? I haven't been able to find them and need some more. So, what you have is not Paskai. What you have is actually Pseudomogal Luminatus. Pseudomogal Paskai, I don't believe, is in the hobby in the United States. There's a mislabeling that happens. So, a lot of suppliers call Pseudomogal Luminatus Pseudomogal Paskai, even though it is not. In fact, the ones I got were called Paskai, but I know they're not. So, yeah, totally different fish from a totally different location. So, I would say if you have Paskai rainbows and you want more, what you really want is Luminatus, because that's what you have. Now, there might be one of those true bowheads out there that went on a collecting trip to New Guinea and brought back some Paskai. But short of that, short of like real bowhead freaks having them, they're not going to be distributed in the industry. I don't think... there's any in the United States right now, but I'm sure there's bowheads in here that can verify that or tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. Johnny says, yes, those silver dollars stay smaller. You got the small guys. Okay, good. So the good news is the silver dollars we have, the spotted silver dollars, don't turn into monsters. I think they're going to top out at 7 to 9 inches. Rico wants some of the Miyuki rice fish. Me too. They're awesome. I've sold out and need to get some more, but they're not available right now. Shoot, did I just go black again? Did my camera just die again? Oh no, I think I'm just... Yep. What is happening? It might be one of those nights, guys. I wonder if Is the camera burning up power quicker than it can charge? Oh man. Okay, we might be switching this whole thing up. Just a second. We might be using the old style camera. Here it comes. Give me just a moment to change this camera. All right. This is going to take me just a sec. I've got to make a new setting here. Desktop cam. And change the camera out to be delete this one, add this one. Okay, working on it. Shoot, usually this happens really quick. Okay, we're almost there. Man, my apologies for tonight. This is what you call professionalism. There we go. Okay, just a moment. Gotta change one or two things here. We're almost there. Okay. Okay, there we go. We're going to use that old sucker. This is the old, just standard Logitech, not HD or anything. It ain't going to be pretty, but you'll be able to see me. So we'll do that. Now just one moment. I need to do that and that. Okay. We'll just move that out of the way. Okay, now we can do both screens. Okay, we're back. We're gonna hobble along through this one. Yeah, sorry guys. That's just the way it's going today. All right, so where were we? Kids Aquatics is letting me know I wasn't showing the fish. I hope I fixed that quickly. Hope it wasn't the whole time I was talking about the fish that you weren't seeing them. Let's see here. Looking for other comments. Hopefully I fix that fast. Eek. Hang on. Gotta see what I did. It's just gonna be one of those nights. Yeah. Kids Aquatics, the dollars have ick appearing. Bling. Yeah. That's funny. Mikey M. Hi Dan and everyone. Tonight got home after the Killie Club meeting. Oh, I miss those meetings. Happy as a kid. Got my Apistogramma Agaziai, is that right? Ordered from the Netherlands, and yes, we are planning for a September Killie show. That sounds awesome. Good for you. Well, welcome. Glad you could make the stream. Medina Aquatics, are you ever going to keep any Tanganikans such as Calvus or Compressiceps? Yes. I really like cichlids. I used to work at a very, very large cichlid breeder and distributor. And be friends with lots of cichlid breeders and stuff. John Neiman's at the Fish House is one of my favorite guys ever, and his facility is amazing, and I miss visiting him and seeing all this cool fish. But the problem is here my water is super soft, and so it's just not the water that the cichlids are going to want. And I have a flow-through system. That's how I maintain my aquariums. So there's no way to really harden the water, because every night they get 30 to 40% water change automatically. So you can't really, if I buffered the water in the day, then the water would change at night and re-soften. They'd be constantly in this system where they'd be going from hard water to soft water and back and forth, right? It wouldn't be stable. And so, so I've kept away from the Reflex Cichlids for that reason, along with a lot of other fish I really like. The good news is, when we get in the fish warehouse, oh please soon, we have access to hard water there. So in that space, we'll have hard water and soft water. We have 2 water types to choose from. So in that case, we will maybe eventually break into some of the Tanganyikans and stuff. I really like them. However, that's not going to be something we do right away. We're going to stick with the kinds of fish we've been bringing in. I mean, different varieties and things, but here's the thing. In general, we want to avoid causing problems. And there are a lot of problems caused by selling Reflex Cichlids. If the customer buying them doesn't realize, oh, these are aggressive, you've created a bloodbath. If they don't realize, oh, you need to have several of them in a tank so they can spread aggression and they can get along, you have problems. If they don't realize that a mangano or a bumblebee will wipe out their entire tank, you have problems. So there's a lot of education that goes in with selling Reflex Cichlids, and you have to get into that kind of differently, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So it's not something that we're going to do quickly, but if we get to the point where we but being that we're going to have hard water, we will have the option. The plan for now would be to do everything we can with the peaceful community type fish. There's a lot of rare and neat stuff that people never see that I can help provide, and kind of do everything we can there. And then if we find that, hey, that's going and we've got all that done, then an option would be to start thinking about breaking into Reflex Cichlids. But it's not something that we are thinking about right now. So it's like one of those future things that we could do, but not something we have any immediate plans for, if that makes sense. Wendy, did you say hummingbird tetra? Love mine. Hey, yeah. They're not the ones that you got are Odontocaracidium. That's the genus. They're the small little dwarfs, I believe. These are the Caracidiums, a different genus. Same kind of thing, but these guys get a little bigger. Different animal, same kind of niche. I would say they're more like a non-miniaturized Odontocaracidium. Up, chat jumped here. Hold on. Here we go. I'm still cracking up about Orange Cone's comment. No, you didn't gain viewers, you gained listeners. Yeah. Thanks for sticking around, folks. Sorry again about that. Yeah, I guess it's just, battery needed time to charge before it could really hold a charge. I might be time to get a new battery. It's been several years. So, all right, W. Marion, what happened to the Stellatus octopus plant in the tank behind you? Not looking so good, but the fish still look great. Oh, I have no idea. I don't pay any attention. I pay no attention to the plants. So, someone might have started munching them, or one of those Acara might have decided to rearrange. I don't know. Yeah. And, I would get back there and like redo it and everything, but again, we're going to be moving anytime. Anytime we're going to be moving stuff around, tearing stuff down, all that. So it just didn't make sense to do a full rescape and then be like, hey, that's done. Let's tear it down so we can move. So that's kind of what's going on. Bunny Viper, what's the bluest rainbow fish? Dwarf blue? What's the scientific name, please? And do you have any in stock right now? So, I don't know. That's the trouble with common names, right? I'm not sure what the dwarf blue is scientifically. But I would say there's a couple contenders. One is Kamaka. That might be the one you're talking about. Melanotania Kamaka. Let's go on a field trip. These guys are great. The reason I think this might be the one you're talking about is because this is more of a dwarf species, topping out at about 3 inches or so. They are spectacular. They're a nice steel blue, like a light steel blue. I don't think they are the bluest as far as like a saturated blue color, but they're beautiful blue fish, and they get this really nice white blaze up the top. And they are stunning. They really are stunning when you walk by and they're all blazed up. But you know, it's this kind of blue, like it's like a sky blue with a chrome influence, like a steel sky blue, I guess. Then another one is Lacustris. Now these guys get really big, so I assume this is not the one you're talking about. Bright yellow blaze and a lot of blue on these guys. Big fish though, they get big. And then another one is Chilothrina caliawallum. One of my absolute favorites. Stunning. They don't get the love because it's hard to take a good picture or video of them. But they frequently display, and when they do, they look really nice and they have a bright blaze. But yeah, is there any picture really showing it? Anyway, a blue little water rocket, a Chilothrina species. So those are the 3 I can think of. I'm assuming that you're talking about Kamaka when we're talking about dwarfs. But I don't know that for sure, so those are my guesses as to what you're talking about. Can5015, my Snowball tiger plecos from you spawned. Yes! Goal! Any suggestions on keeping them alive and how healthy should I separate? Lots of food. It's up to you about separating. If there's only plecos in that tank, it's not as necessary. But if you do separate them, you can really feed them a lot and then change the water more, like give them the special care. But the main thing, here's the trick with any little fish, any baby that you're trying to raise. Food in front of them all the time, pretty much as possible anyway, without getting their water dirty. Those are the 2 dichotomies you have to figure out. How do you keep lots of food in the tank but not dirty the water? They need clean water and lots of food. So that's pretty much the trick with those guys, and they should eat all kinds of stuff. You shouldn't have a problem feeding them. They should be able to rasp on pellets and algae and zucchini and all kinds of stuff. So I don't think you're gonna have a problem. I wanted to say trouble and problem all at once. Alexander Engelhart, I just saw your super chat for the podcast. That might go to a new battery for that camera, Alexander. Thank you so much. But Can5015, that's my thoughts. I mean, you can keep them with the parents, but which might be good because that might be a more stable environment. Or you could remove them, which might be good because you can give them, you know, special care and more water changes and more food and stuff like that. So I'm sorry that's not a do this and you'll be successful. But that's kind of the thoughts that come in my mind when I consider a situation like that. Let me wet my whistle. Cheers, everyone. Lady Diane, what do you feed your rice fish? A wide variety, Lady Diane. They are not picky. They get flakes, they get pellets, they get wafers, they get frozen food, they get live food, they get spirulina-based food, they get protein-based foods. Those are an omnivore. And so a wide range of all different kinds of foods would be my suggestion. And that's what we feed them. I haven't met a food that they won't eat. They're not picky at all. Dragon, can male guppies live together without any females? Yes, they might not be as happy, but yes. 2 of them have bent spines, and I don't want their genes to be passed down to the offspring. I would say they can. The issue, Dragon, that you might have is if there's two males, you might get one that turns dominant and dominates the other one, right? It kind of harasses it all the time. If that happens, you'll probably want to separate them or get more guppies in there to kind of spread that out. But the odds are they're going to get along just fine, especially there's plants and hardscape to block lines of sight and things like that. Or if the tank's just, you know, large enough that they can each have their own little spot. But with just two, you can sometimes get one that dominates the other one. Kevin D, new to the channel and newish to fish keeping. What's the super bright orange fish in the tank behind you? You must have come on when the camera was working, Kevin. These are the gold Roseline Barbs, the gold Denison Barbs. And I've got a group that I will be listing. I think Friday we'll list those. I should have mentioned that. So we do have some that will be available Friday. They're super neat. Please go to dansfish.com to the newsletter section and read the article we wrote about them before you get them, because there are some things to consider before purchasing that particular fish. There's some things to be aware of. So I would check that article before you make your final decision. Rico Stan, do you have an ETA on when the blue Miyuki rice fish will be ready? No. I don't have any at the moment. I'm sold out, Rico Stan. I need to get more in. So as soon as the supplier has more, I'll get more, because they're one of my favorites. Absolutely. I think ours are though the whites. Let's take a quick field trip here. Miyuki. Yeah, Miyuki rice fish, the Miyuki white. Now, here's a funny thing that happens in this industry. Some suppliers call them platinum white. Some suppliers call them, well, none of them call them by their right name, Miyuki. Some of them call them blue. Some of them call them different things. What they are is a bright white fish with a very light blue iridescence or overtones that you can see at certain angles under certain lights. So I don't list them as blue, because I think if I sold a blue rice fish, people would be, look at it and be like expecting a obviously blue fish. The ones that they call blue Miyukis are not obviously blue. It's like a secondary thing that sometimes you can see with the right light at the right angle. So even when I buy the blue Miyukis, in quotes, they sell as white Miyukis because they're actually white, with maybe a secondary little bit of blue. I just feel that that's less misleading. But they're probably the same fish, because suppliers call them all kinds of things. Alexander, your super chat's still cracking me up. For the podcast. It's going to be very meta when this is released as a podcast. We'll have the podcast within the podcast. Upper Aquatics, any news on when gifting memberships are going to be a thing on your channel? Yes. So I have avoided doing any memberships on my channel heretofore, just because I don't want to do memberships and not add value. Right now, if I did memberships, it would be like, we have memberships. If you like us and you want to support us, become a member. But there's literally no extra bandwidth in our day right now to be able to create any special content or do anything meaningful for the members. And so that's the reason I haven't done it. I just don't feel like I wouldn't feel right about it. But I do have some thoughts about how to create a membership program that would add value to the members. And it's something that we're thinking about and getting worked on. Right now, it's going to take some coding. We have to build some code to make it work. At the moment, there were a couple big kind of technical projects that had to be done. We had to reconfigure things and change servers, change code for the new requirements. As the servers update and things like that, you often have to go through and reconfigure things. So that's a big project that went through recently. And then also we're reformatting the back end quite a bit to be more functional and to be able to provide better user experience on the front end as well. So there's a new series of APIs that need to be built. Basically, it's a new architecture on the back end. It's quite a big project. So that's a priority, because once that's done, we can do things like the memberships and all these other things smoothly. I don't want to get into details. This isn't a tech program, but in a better architecture that will make things better all around for everybody. So once that kind of major necessary project is done, then yes, I have some ideas for memberships, and I don't want to divulge them quite yet. I want to kind of get it done and then tell you guys what it is. But I have an idea of something that I think would be meaningful and actually add value without making me commit to all this extra content and the normal things you see in memberships. This would be something pretty darn different for a membership. Johnsworth, which would look better? White Cloud Mountain Minnows? Yes. Rainbow Shiners? Yes. Or something else mid-level on a high flow tank, preferably shoaling or schooling. I don't think you can go wrong with either of those. I like them both. So I guess I would say, how big is the tank? If the tank is on the larger side, Rainbow Shiners would do great, but they like to swim. Rainbow Shiners are larger than mountain minnows, and they like to swim, and they're rapid swimmers. So I would say if the tank is fairly small, I would go with the White Clouds. And if the tank is large, I'd go with either one. They're both awesome. I mean, the nice thing about the White Clouds is you could get a mix, right? You could get some normals and some golds and some long fins, 3 different types, all together in the same tank. They would school together and do their thing and be perfectly happy together. But you would have some variety in the tank, so that could be cool. But the Rainbow Shiners are something else, though, when they grow up and color in. So Rico Stan, oh man, I thought you were waiting on the Miyuki rice to pass quarantine. I should have paid more attention. Or I should have spoken more clearly. Like, I get camera brain bad, Rico Stan. Sometimes I just mix. My thoughts are clear, but my words ain't. Orange Co's sound is good. During the podcast. Glad you all had fun with that snafu. Yeah. Okay, Xanadu. I have 1 male and 1 female Celebis plus 2 fry that have survived accidentally. Yeah, they do that. Those little babies are tough. Also, small groups of Luminatus and Furcatus. Cannot find the signifers and need them. Yeah, I'll work on it. They were not an option this time around. But, yeah. We'll get them. Orange Cones, once again, saves the show. What a season theater, man. Yeah, live theater when stuff like that happens? Yeah, this is nothing. This is nothing. Killers Aquatics reminding folks to put the Dan's fish so that it highlights, so that we get these bright orange boxes that I know are directed at me. That's what I look for when I respond to these questions and comments and jokes. And shady thoughts. Underwater. Want some free bluegills? I have a collection site of F0 population. Woo! Always wanted some bluegills. Underwater. No. Bluegills are something that are regulated in my state, and I don't know how. I mean, we'd have that cichlid problem with aggression and all that. I like sunfish. I've kept red-spotted sunfish. I've kept megalotus. I really like native fish a lot. But I don't think that there's much in the market in the aquarium world for bluegills. So it's not something I could use. Although they're super cool. Alex Repko, hey Dan, need to deworm my pea puffers and currently using levamisole. What other available meds can be used? What's your deworming procedure? Do you have a video about it? Thank you. Yes, I have a long video on, it's Amazon puffers, but you can use the method for pea puffers as well. But here's the things. So levamisole is very effective against roundworms. Not a bad medicine to use at all. When you're done that, give the fish a few days to recover, you know, flush it out of their liver or kidneys or wherever it's metabolized. And then a very effective drug is flubendazole. It's similar to fenbendazole, which you can find at your local feed store for deworming, I don't know, horses and dogs and stuff. But flubendazole is great because fish can absorb it through their gills and their skin. So when you put it in the water with the fish, they actually absorb it into the fish, so it does some good. There are a lot of medicines that we give to our fish that don't actually absorb into the fish. So flubendazole is great. Then after the flubendazole is done, then metroprosy in a mix, like General Cure or whatever, is another good one to use as well. So if your puffer is like obviously struggling, like it's trying to eat but it can't swallow the food, or it eats and eats and eats but it stays skinny and emaciated, then you probably do need to continue deworming. If the puffer's in great shape, maybe after the levamisole, you let it go and don't treat with anything else and just see how it does. I think there's a difference on someone like me who's importing lots of fish and passing them on to a customer versus in how we need to treat fish sometimes versus the end consumer or the customer in how they need to do it. So I don't know what you're seeing on your end. So I would say there are other dewormers and medicines available. Whether you need to use them or not, don't know. Taylor Foy, do you import Miyuki white rice fish from out of the country? Yes. If anyone in the country supplies them, if you breed a bunch, I'd love to buy them from you. There is a breeder in the United States that I have been able to source them from before, but demand is so high that we sold out of that batch pretty quick and had to, you know, find a source from out of the country. But I like to buy stuff from hobbyists in the United States when possible. They generally need to be in fairly large batches, and I can pay it 25% of the retail costs shipped. That's what I can pay. Okay, hang on. I'm scrolling up here. Oh, I saw something about Congo spotted puffers. Underwater, asked Congo spotted puffers. Thoughts on them? Debating between figure eights and them, but brackish requirements seem not too researched. No, figure eights almost definitely are going to need brackish long term. Like, please don't get a figure eight and keep it long term in freshwater. Now, maybe some people can do that, but it's not natural to them from what I understand. Congo spotted puffers, between those two, I would definitely do the Congo spotted puffers. Freshwater and not like super peaceful community fish, but can be kept together. Less of a pretty hate machine than a figure eight. And they don't get as big from what I remember. I can't remember if that's actually accurate right now, but I think that's true. Bunny Viper, I bought a trio of Epiplatysex fasciatus from you quite a while back, but now I have 10. Goal! I have some great fish, but I'd be hard-pressed to pick a favorite. However, I love those killies. Thanks. You're welcome. I love them too. Always glad when someone else gets into the killies. It's my favorite group of fish of all time. And Bunny Viper, I hope you're doing well. It's nice to hear from you, as always. Toad Tamer, hi Dan. I got a rainbow that's a bit bloated, not eating. Ooh. Have gone through a course of Canoplex prosy and no change. Any ideas on what's next? No other fish showing signs of distress. I don't know, Toad Tamer. That's a real tough one. Bloating itself is generally not a disease, it's a symptom. And things that can cause that are loss of ability to osmoregulate, or internal organs starting to fail. It's a serious thing. So Canoplex is, I think, your best shot, and you've already used it. Now, I'm not a veterinarian, so, you know, take everything I say medically with a grain of salt. But the nice thing about Canoplex is it's an antibiotic that, again, like flubendazole, will absorb into the fish internally. So if there's an internal infection, you've at least got a shot of the medication coming in contact with it. Whereas lots of antibiotics are not absorbed easily through the skin and gills. So they might take care of external things, but not so much internal things. Again, that's what I've researched, so that's what I've read in my research, but not a doctor or anything. Totamer, I wish I could help you, but when my fish have bloating issues and things like that, it's try a couple things and cross your fingers is the best I can do for my own fish. Salt can be a little helpful. If it is osmoregulation failure, then 5 grams of salt per liter could help. Take some pressure off the osmoregulatory system. So that could be helpful. The honest truth is once fish get to that stage, the likelihood that they'll come back, in my experience, has been small. Now, don't use salt if you've got a bunch of plants in the tank or anything like that, right? You need kind of there's things that salt damages, including live plants, so just be a little careful about that. But it really does well for the fish. Jeff's Aquatics, hey Dan, could you get L306? Let's see what that one is. The L306 Pleco. Let's go on a field trip. L306. Oh, okay. I don't know if I've seen this actual Pinoculus on the lists. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. So the breeder I usually buy them from does not have, I've never seen them on their stock list. So not from there, which is my preferred place to buy Plecostomus. However, I have a new supplier who I can get wild collected Plecostomus from, and I've avoided bringing in any wild Plecostomus for a long time, just because back in the day when it used to be something that I was familiar with, they come in with all kinds of problems. It was a big issue. This supplier has assured me that they've found ways over the last, it's been more than a decade since I brought some in, maybe, I don't know, 15 years, just because I was so disgusted with how it was going. But they've assured me that, they've learned a lot and things have changed. And so I have tried. This last order, I did bring in 2 species of wild-caught plecos. And so far, they're doing great. I have to say, they're doing wonderfully. So I think that I might try a few more from this supplier and, develop the relationship. And as long as things go well, then anything I can get from the breeders, I will get from the breeders, because I think that's always the best way to do it. Unless you need like fresh blood, if things are getting inbred and the genes are getting too compact, and you don't want to be the royal family and you need a little fresh blood, then yeah, get some wilds, get some fresh blood in there, something like that. But in general, I like to support breeders and it's just a less rigorous supply chain if I can get them from this breeder. So I'll do that, even though they cost more. But the 306s are not on there, so if this other supplier keeps doing a good job and they have 306s, I might be able to bring some in sometime, but it's not something I remember seeing, no. Orange cones, is my TT quest really over? Just checking. It is. It is. We've got all the parts of the tipper tie machine finally. What was that, orange cones? 265 days that it took? Something like that? Yeah, it arrived today. Cheers, orange cones. Thanks for all your help getting that piece of equipment here. Appreciate it. Johnsworth, any book suggestions for Asia Indo freshwater fish? I'm going to send you to the Aquatic Bookshop, Johnsworth. Seahorses.com. A large part of my youth was spent in this bookstore, just surrounded by fish books. Let me link it here. It's seahorses.com. If you go to the website and email them. I don't know anyone who knows more about fish books than Jim Forshey, the owner of the Aquatic Bookshop. And if those books exist, he'll know it and can point you in the right direction or acquire it for you. Johnsworth, thanks for the advice on turning the temp down a bit. My electric blue cars are no longer psycho parents killing the happy vibe in my tank. Awesome, glad it worked. Sometimes it does, you know. It's also a trick that you can do for things like angelfish when they want to spawn. And they keep beating things up, and you want to calm the tank down a bit. Freshwater Dreaming, that's a good username. This is my first time outdoor tubbing. Cool. I noticed the fish don't surface at feeding time like they used to in the tank. Should I worry? I don't know, because I'm not there to actually see what you're seeing, but I would not say that it's abnormal when fish go through a large transition to be surface shy for a while. That's where the predators come from often. So as long as they are getting food, I wouldn't stress, and eventually they'll learn that you're the food man from the top, right? Or woman, the food person from the top, and come up when you come to feed. I mean, depending on the species, there's a few species of fish that are just perpetually shy. But in general, think about what happens when you get a new fish in your tank, right? Depending on the species and how socialized they are, they've just gone through a large transition, everything's new, they don't know where they are, they don't have a territory yet, they don't know where the hiding spots are, they feel very exposed, right? They're nervous. And so the first while when you go up to feed, they go hide, right? And you feed and then you leave and then they'll come out and eat. I think the same thing happens with outdoor tubbing for sure. So I don't know how long the fish have been in there, but my guess is that they'll settle in and get used to you and start eating eventually. We have 218 folks here, and it is, we've only got 12 minutes left. I think it's time to do the giveaway. So the giveaway tonight is provided by Iowa Aquatic Hobbyists. They are providing all the giveaways for the entire month of May. So it's Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist month here at Dance Fish. Today's giveaway is everything you see in the thumbnail for the live stream. 10 awesome kinds of food, a wide variety of food. How many pounds is this? That's 1 pound, 2 pounds, almost 3 pounds of food. 2.5 to 3 pounds of food, if my quick sketchy head math is correct, and a wide variety. So it's over $70 worth of food. Most of it made right here in the USA. So Iowa Aquatic Hobbyists, if you are looking for a Facebook community, stop by and consider them in your search and see if that's where you want to land. But thanks, Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist. Iowa, I said Iowa. Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist for providing the giveaways for this month. That's awful generous of you. With that, let's draw the winner. And the winner is Chris George. Chris George, you have won a whole smorgasbord of food provided by Guppy Barn Aquatics, courtesy of Iowa Aquatic Hobbyist. So we'll give you 2 minutes to chime in. Let us know you're here, because you do need to be present to win. If after 2 minutes, yep, there you are. Chris George is here. Chris, would you send us an email to hello@dancefish.com? That's HELLO @dancefish.com. Your first, your last name. Actually, we just need your email, because we'll forward that to the folks doing the giveaway, and they can arrange for the address and shipping date and all that with you. So just send us an email, hello@dancefish.com, and we will forward that on and get you situated. John Keith Gardner, are Roseline Barbs good tank mates for rainbows? I think they are. Yeah, I've done that several times, and they seem to get along really well. Bunny Viper, just wanted to thank you for the fact that you try to train your fish to such a varied diet. I'm always amazed at what my killies and archers are willing to try. Thanks a lot. Yeah, you can get archers to eat spirulina flakes, believe it or not. And every now and then, it's probably not bad. Give them some veggies. You know, in the wild, they're going to be eating a lot of insects, and those insects are going to be eating veggies. And so when the archers eat the insects, they're also eating the veggies that are in the gut of the insect, right? Gut-loaded insects. So, yeah, wide variety is key, I think, for most fish. And you're welcome, Bunny Viper. Thank you. That's very nice to say. Rico Stan, my mistake. I thought you showed some blue rice fish. Oh, yeah, we already talked about that one. I could have said the words wrong, too. Wrong wording. I do wrong wording quite a lot. Last week, what was it? They were asking about golden rams and Bolivian rams, and in my mind, I thought they were talking about golden rams and German rams, not Bolivian. And yeah, I do wrong all the time. But I do wrong right. Wendy, I recently purchased a used 15-gallon cube. It came with Malawa shrimp. Wow, they are algae killers. I finally found some more on eBay to add to the colony, but why are they not more popular? I don't know. I've never heard of this. Malawa shrimp. Let's see what this is. Malawa shrimp. This is a new one to me. Now, I am far from a shrimp expert. I have two kinds. I have cherry shrimp and I have blue dream shrimp. Blue Dreams provided by an amazing breeder. We're very happy with that strain. So, yeah, I don't know why, but good to know. Sounds like if you're looking for algae control, Malawa shrimp might be another option. What kind of algae, Wendy, are they eating? Let's see here. Underwater Congo. Okay, already talked about that one. Bunny Viper, will you ever get longfin white clouds? Well, I tried, Bunny Viper. I ordered 300 of them, and I got the fish in, and they're super healthy and all that stuff. But I mean, they arrived in great shape, but they weren't long-finned. So I have a bunch of white clouds in quarantine right now. But they're not long-finned, unfortunately. I tried. That's what I ordered, not what I got. Brad Morgan, expecting a shipment of your Leopoldi angels tomorrow. Super excited. Any suggestions? I'm glad you got them. They're such a neat species of angelfish. Honestly, they're pretty easy. They eat everything. They're kind of totally used to aquarium life at this point. I'd say have a side with some cover in it. For the first week, they're probably going to be pretty shy. But once they learn that you're the food person, yeah, they're not going to be shy anymore. So, no, honestly, I think that they seem just as easy as your standard angelfish so far to me. Maybe they're a little more sparry. Like they spar more, they kind of challenge each other more, perhaps, than your standard angelfish. But what I think that actually might be is that I think they mature at a smaller size. So angelfish, their current size, would not spar as much, but adult angelfish would. So I think what we're probably seeing is not so much they spar more, just they mature younger. So they spar earlier than standard angelfish. But Brad, honestly, I think they're going to do great for you. They've been rock solid here. Dragon Layer, I see your comment about food monkey. I don't know what it means though. Maybe I misspoke. Did I say monkey instead of money or something? I don't know. Camera brain can't remember that far back. Okay, we have 5 more minutes. We can get to a few more of these. Okay, scrolling to find where we jumped. Devin, what breed of non-corridors catfish would you breed for profit if you could pick one? I know I have the beholder, just curious. So a catfish that is not a corridors species for profit. Well, I would probably start with albino ancestris, albino bushy nose. Just because I think there's a market for them and they're easy. So to get started with something besides cories, that's a catfish. That might not be a bad one to start. And once you learn how they spawn, then you'll know if you like doing it or not. And if you do, maybe you can branch out into different kinds of Plecostomus. Yeah, that's my answer. I don't know if it's the best one, but that's what I came up with. Crowntail Half Moon, my Libear swordtails are getting skinny. What meds can I use? Prozipro, Metro, or Levamisol? Should I use 3 combined? So hard, Crowntail, because if it's a roundworm, you want Levamisol. If it's a certain class of protozoans, you want Prozi and Metro. I wouldn't do Prozi and Metro and Levamisol together. I would do Prozi and Metro together, then give the fish a few day break after that whole series of treatments is done, and then do Levamisol, or vice versa, but I wouldn't combine them. Or is it an external thing? There's all kinds of external protozoan that can get on fish and suck the energy out of them, so maybe you need Icex. Or maybe it's a virus, or it could be bacterial. The problem is, until we know what it actually is, it's hard to say what we should treat with. However, I would say that for me, Prozimetro, Levamisol, and Flubendazole are probably all ones that would be in my arsenal. I wouldn't use them all at once, but they would all be in my arsenal. And best of luck to you. I wish I could help you more, but it's rough with fish and medicine and illness. Even for a veterinarian that's examining them in person, it's rough. Me, Joe Hobbyist, reading a comment, that's real hard. But I do wish you the best. Medina Aquatics, miss your live unboxing videos. Will you be doing them again anytime soon? I don't think so. Maybe. I stopped for 2 reasons. One was I felt like I wasn't getting to the fish as quickly as I should, and I feel like a moral imperative when I have the fish to unbox them as quickly as I can, to triage, to make sure no one has problems, get them out of their bags as fast as I can. Sometimes the bags be nasty, right? And so I kind of felt like I was I was compromising what was best for the fish in order to make a video. I did feel that a little bit, so I quit. And then the other reason, and I haven't looked at this lately, but I think it's a fairly small audience for unboxings. So it is something I like doing, but I was worried about, I just felt weird doing it when the fish were not being tended to as quickly as they could be if I wasn't doing it. That's really what it came down to. Okay, one more and we'll close it out. Glass Box Aquarius 5.5 gallon betta tank planted heater and sponge filter. Autos or pygmy cories? Honestly, Glass Box Aquarius, I would not probably do either one without a plan B. If you are worried about algae control, I would go with the autos. If you just want cute little tank mates, you could try the cories. But I'd have a plan B for either of those. You never know what kind of betta you're going to get. So if you need to separate, I'd be able to do that. Now, I've kept bettas with lots of different species of fish. I'm not saying you can't do it, but some of them go aggro and some of them are peaceful their whole lives. So it depends. And one of the issues with autos and cories and other fish that can sometimes sit still is sometimes the betta's real curious and it'll come down and it'll maybe see an eyeball and be very curious how that tastes. So if I was to keep a fish with a betta, it would probably be, and I'm not saying it couldn't work with these species you've mentioned, but it would probably ideally be something that swims fast enough. It doesn't have to zip around like a zebra danio, but is active enough that it's not going to be sitting there still with a juicy eyeball or a neat tail fin sticking up to be nipped, right? The betta would have to chase it down as opposed to just come across it. So that's number one. And number two in that is that the fish itself is not a nipper, because lots of fish will nip at betta's fins. So that's Glass Box, of course. That's kind of the the things I think to consider when making that decision. All right, it's 8:30. We got to shut it down. Thanks for sticking with us, even though we had camera troubles. We'll be back next week, though. I'll double check when I charge it that it's... I thought it was, though. I thought I saw the charging light on. It might be just time to get a new battery. Anyway, we'll try to make that not happen again. I want to start by thanking my moderators, as I always do every week, because without them, we don't have a stream. So thanks for modding to the mods. Everyone that threw money at us, thanks for the super chats. Always appreciated, never required, but we are a startup, so at this point in our business cycle, every little bit of income helps, so we greatly appreciate it. Everyone that was active with questions and comments, thanks for being here. Thanks for helping make the stream lively. If you were lurking, hail the Lurker Nation. I lurk all the time. If you're watching the replay, hello from the future, and but it's the past now. Hello from another time. And if you're listening on the podcast, enjoy the Meta podcast. And thanks to Michael Mellier for making the podcast possible. With that, we'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I hope you have a great week. Thanks, and bye-bye.